What's up, dude? What's up, dudes? PBS News, 1.1 thousand. Wow. What's up? What's everyone doing there? Not much, just chilling here. Hey, same here, man. Just hanging out, trying to talk to the people. What is open source intelligence? Hi, dude, you're always blowing clouds. I turn up the sound on this thing? Jesus. Man, this is I need to know Primo. Primo, they're opening a new dispensary near me. What is this? The, what? What in the world? What is this?
Lost $9 billion of income to Miami, Palm Beach in 5 years. This is a Bloomberg story, so let's go through it. A net 30,000 New Yorkers moved to Florida's Palm Beach and Miami-Dade County from 2018 to 2022, taking $9.2 billion in income, nearly 20,000 people with a per capita income of $190,000 relocated to Palm Beach, and over 26,000 per capita income of about 266 moved to Miami-Dade County, according to the Budget Commission's report.
If you guys lived in New York, would you move to Florida? Where does everyone live? I live in Boston. I want to move to Florida. What's up, Mike? 9292. What are you doing today? You moving to Florida? Yeah. Nope. Not a fan of busy roads. The Sludge Springs Daily. What a newspaper. What kind of deepfake could Archie create to hurt Curricuvilla's chance of winning? What? Oh, guess that makes sense. I'm gonna make a deep fake about you guys. I'm gonna make a deep fake about Primo. Make it look like he doesn't smoke any trees. You're in Mombasa? Or are you in Mombasa or Nairobi? You said you're in Nairobi, and then you said you're in Mombasa. Which one is it? Mombasa. Why would people want to live in Nairobi instead of Mombasa? Right on the coast. Makes no sense to me. Look at that. Probably sweet. Shelly Beach. Oh, come on. What is Google Maps not allowed in Kenya? Oh, come on. You know, it would have been cool. All I get is this video of this guy. Come on. You know, would have been pretty cool to check it out. Thanks, Mike. Mike, where you from, man? Is your last name Page? Mikey Page? Where you live, Dorchester? In New York, huh? You live in Manhattan? Where you live? Bronx? Harlem? Yeah. What is the best city in Africa? All right, we're gonna look at Angola, Luanda. Is Google Maps not allowed in Africa? No. What did I look up? No, that was New Zealand. Somalia. All right, I'm gonna look up Bano Beach. Yeah, I don't think Google. I don't think they've been to Africa. Or can I go to Taiwan? All right. Is this just messing with me right now? I think I can click in here. All right, yeah, I can. And that looks super poor. Oh, look at that. You got English everywhere. Houses are falling down. What an amazing technology. Fuck that shop. That is absolutely fascinating. Look, what was that? How about that? Those are just goats walking down the street. That's awesome. That's fascinating. Yeah, moving to a comprehensive school. Does Kenya speak English? Why is everything in English? New tech, laptops and computers. Oh, fresh water, car wash, everything's in English. That's fascinating. Nice, but no toilets. You live in Manhattan, downtown. Cairo, Manhattan Beach. I've been to Morocco, but just holes in the floor. Am I done working out today? Probably. $55.3 million. That's a pretty big country. Wow. National language, Swahili. So is it just Mombasa that they speak English? Or they just put the signs in English? Hmm, weird. Look at this. General Jack's. Janine. Every store sign's in English. Mobiles, new tech. Oh, this is the one I just went down. The buildings look like they're about to crumble. That's where I started. It's pretty cool. Mombasa Island. The English Garden. Africa Hotel. Jeez, they got power lines everywhere. Talk about a Cluj. That's a Zuzu truck. What a fascinating place. All the signs are in English. Let's go to Shelley Beach. The Barracuda Bar and Restaurant. Looks beautiful. Nothing is paved. Fort Jesus. What an interesting place. Sparta fake. What? Okay. Hey, what's up? Hello, where are you from? Do you speak Spanish? No, I speak English. You have Instagram? I do. I don't use it very much. Thackeray Fitness. Sorry, everyone. Getting cold. Thanks, Mike. How's New York going? Nice day there today? What the? What, they just bring me inside someone's bedroom? What's going on here? Yeah. Cement Road. Alright, I don't know what that's doing. What's one way to prevent deepfake fraud? You guys know? Yes. Was that jail? Is this the main road? Pata pata pata. Dress to impress. Everyone just parked everywhere. Chaos. Absolute chaos. What's the danger of deepfakes? Blue page, what's that? What's a blue page? I will. I'll trust my instincts. Yes, I did it. Do 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 do. You guys know what I mean? foot's so dry. There we go. Cracked feet. Wow. Oh, that hurts. Hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I need all the help I can get. You know what I mean? Wow. Hi, Primo. Is that Neosporin? This is Carousel? I don't know, my foot's all cracked. I don't know why. Number one gifted badge, thanks.
In New York State, nearly 138,000 city residents relocated to Long Island, reducing New York City's adjusted gross income by 11.1 billion, while Westchester County gained almost 60,000 new net residents, cutting the city's income by 5 billion. Driven by factors like coronavirus, pandemic, cost of living and quality of life concerns, New York shares of U.S. millionaires dropped from 12.7 in 2010, damn, to 8.7. That's a 33% drop off. Despite the numbers of millionaires that stayed, nearly doubling 70,000 as hirings, including millennials, left for the state, Florida, California, and Texas, with the top 1% of cities' tax filers paying
I guess I don't
3%.
care that much.
I want to.
Feel the pump. Boom, 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 boom.
This This fellow, I've not seen him. Maybe he's somebody that's done this before. I'm sure he is because he is representing ABC. The president agreed to do the interview with them, ABC. This is the only interview that was done on the 100 days. So President Trump has a lot of options. Trust me, a lot of people are asking him to do it. He agreed to do it with ABC. And here's what ended up happening. I want to show you a couple of clips. Here's the first clip. Rob, is this the clip about the fact that the referrals? Let's start off with that one here. Watch this here, folks. Go ahead, Rob.
Fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any.
Well, you don't know that, do you?
How do you know that?
Have there been referrals to the, are there
Why
been
how would you
referrals?
know that? There were no referrals. I think there were.
They generally are. There's been no investigation from the
How do
Justice
you know
Department. I'm asking you, sir.
You're not asking me. You made a statement.
Now I'm asking you.
That was a statement that you made. There have
I'm
been.
asking you.
Have there been? Yes, there have.
So there have been referrals for fraud from the
Of course
Justice
there have been. Take a look at some of these
Department.
things that took place. Billions of dollars were given to people for no reason whatsoever. Of course.
This fellow, I've not.
This guy really run the Boston Marathon in
Why would I
jeans?
throw my money away buying a car at the dealership when I could choose Flex
Pretty
Spend
impressive.
instead? I didn't pay a down payment on this Jeep Wrangler, and that's the.
That's great.
Less than a week into Boston, since week 8, some 230 died. We've been going at this for 2 months. 2 months of progress, trying to get better, trying to get faster. They're just flying around our house. Okay, boys. I'm trying to get through this until the Jets. Before the Jets.
Then you need to start doing more posts.
Sometimes the things I find on these jobs are just borderline bizarre. And so I'm gonna put this out to you guys. If you all have any idea why it's done like this, let me know. So the plans state that all these rafters here, these dormers, need to bear on top of this wall, this funny wall. Look how they constructed this. They went halfway up with what you would expect to see in a pony wall, and then came over on the top of that, put this 2x12, 1x4 top plate, and that is what they're bearing on. Look at how much bearing this top plate has. Look, it's even bending over. Look at that. Look at that. How does that work? So if anybody can think of a reason why I should not put that in the report, then let me know.
Because if you ain't ready to put 5 years of grind into anything without making a quarter, don't even start. Sometimes it takes that long to get on. Want to
5 years of grinding? Is that what it takes? Is that what it takes, boys? Primo, you excited that they're putting in a new dispensary about a mile from my house? You pumped? I know you jacked up. Look at that, 20 people. What's up, everyone? What are you guys doing? Smoking with Primo? Blowing trees. You guys know that? So what's everyone think? How long does it take to make a living on YouTube? 5 years? Am I still a realtor? How you know that, Sad Randy? You Google my name? Yeah, my real estate license. You creeping on me, Sandy? Or Sad Randy? You guys are creeping me out. How'd you know that, Sad Randy? Yeah, that makes you work harder, yeah. Yeah, it also can tank you. Alright, what should I watch? Trump just won against Harvard.
Charles Barkley wants to lose 65 pounds with GLP-1s. Roe can help him with that, but they can't help him lose his big mouth.
Hey, hold on. I have big plans for this brand. Maybe I could write a roll jingle. Roll, roll, roll your weight gently off your bod.
It's great.
I only do it because GLP-1s work, and roll makes it quick.
Shut up. I don't care, Charles. Oh, look at that. Close game. Knicks Pistons. 103-103.
The administration has to
Oh,
figure out a
Nugget.
way
Oh, no, that
of
was...
targeting defunding, and making it clear that yes, we're going to give research grants to cure cancer and reduce diabetes.
Yeah, here's a good question. Why don't the Ivy League colleges pay taxes? They own like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate. They have billions of dollars in endowment funds, but they don't pay taxes. Do. Most remote town in America. Why should Earth Senate? I could not care any less. Why? This guy Peter Santinella has the best stuff. Florida's Forgotten Coast. I don't really feel like watching his either though. I don't know. I should probably do something. Who's Joe Rogan got on? You guys like Joe Rogan? You hate him?
Tell you something. Olympics is all game bangers. Day one when you get there, they got a place that only athletes can go. So
You're hiring. Sean Ryan Show.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back, exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
What makes TD Bank a you first kind of place? Maybe it's how we're a greet you and your dog by your name kind of place. Because putting people first is how we put you first. That's how TD is making banking unexpectedly human.
the tariffs are scaring the crap out of the stock market. The stock market's down. I was explaining to her how someday I'm going to be a millionaire. And we went across a railroad track and the muffler fell off my car. By the time we were 26, we had about $4 million of real estate and a little over $1 million net worth. And
By 26, you had $4 million in real estate.
made $250K that year. So by the time I'm 28, I'm bankrupt. I made $250K one year, the next year I made $6,000. When I was doing really good is when I met God. I met him on the way up, but I got to know him on the way down. It's harder to get on with us than it is the CIA or the FBI. I don't own the business. God owns it.
Dave Ramsey, welcome to the show.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, my friend.
My pleasure. Well, I'm honored to have you. And been trying to make this happen for quite some time, and it's just, it's awesome to have you here. We've got a lot to talk about.
Kind of ridiculous there was so much trouble because I'm just right there.
I know. I know you're literally right down the street.
Stupid schedules, yours and mine. But here we are.
Here we are. But, I don't even know where to put this in the interview. So you've been a mentor of mine since way before we ever met. And I was doing a contract, anti-piracy stuff off the coast of Yemen. And my dad had given me your book and he wanted me to read it. And I kind of skimmed through it and I was like, I get it. Get out of debt, whatever. I don't need to read this stuff. But I didn't have anything to do on that damn ship other than possibly shoot some pirates. And so I dug in, and I'm not a big reader. I just don't enjoy it. And I read your book from front to back in about a day and a half, and I was just glued to it. Totally changed my life.
Wow.
And I was making pretty good money back then contracting, but I was spending it all on bullshit. I bought like a $30,000 chopper and all kinds of BMW, all kinds of shit that I didn't need. And I read that book on that little deployment. It's about 3 weeks long. Came back home, sold everything I had,
Oh my
paid all my
gosh.
debt off.
No way.
Yep, and I've lived like that. Paid my house off, sold everything, all the shit that I didn't need that I had loans on, and had, you know, I guess equity and some of it, and
So
and
what the switch flipped? You realize it's not giving you joy. It's not.
well,
The stress of the debt didn't offset the fun of the stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I was hesitant, but because I really liked my motorcycle,
Oh, yeah.
and I really liked my BMW at the time, but the peace and the freedom that came from getting rid of my mortgage payment, my credit card debt, and all the other shit, car payments, that was probably 15, 16 years ago, and I've just lived like that ever since.
Wow.
And even today, you know, I'm debt free. I built my business, never took on debt, only grew as much as what I could afford at the time, and I mean, now we're building. You know, we went from the attic of my house to this. Now we're building a 7,000 square foot studio out in the woods, and all of it, there's zero debt. And so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. That's a great story. I
Yeah.
didn't know that part.
Yeah.
I've been friends for a while. I never heard that part. That's
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and then you know, you continue to be a mentor of mine, and we had a discussion at your house a couple months ago, and I was looking for a CEO and wanted to get your advice on that, and you told me don't get a CEO, you have to be the CEO, and I think you mentioned you're probably looking more for a COO, and you just met Eric downstairs. This is the beginning of his third week, so I wound up hiring a COO.
Okay.
And, so I just want you to know that, you know, everything you say, you know, I take it in, and I know a lot of people do, and so this, you know, what I've built here is, you know, somewhat of a product of your mentorship.
Wow.
So,
And I didn't even know. Wow, that's very cool.
well, now you know.
That's neat.
Now you know. But yeah. So everybody starts with an introduction here. So here we go. Dave Ramsey, you're a legend in the personal finance world who's helped millions climb out of debt and take control of their money. You're the host of the Ramsey Show, a nationally syndicated radio program that's been teaching money management for over 30 years. You're an 8-time best-selling author, including Total Money Makeover, the book that changed my life. Your newest book, Build a Business You Love, is set to release on April 15th, tax day. Is that an accident?
Who knows? Seems like it was a good day. I don't know.
You're the founder and CEO of Ramsey Solutions, a company that's all about giving people hope through practical, no-nonsense financial advice. You were introduced into the National Radio Hall of Fame in 2015. You've been a husband to Sharon for the last 43 years. You raised 3 children together, and most importantly, out of everything I mentioned, you are a Christian.
Thank you.
And I'm sure I'm missing a ton there, but 43 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's kick it off. What's the secret to a successful marriage?
Well, the joke that I always use, which is accurate, I tell her if she leaves, I'm going with her. So, and then she just giggles. But you know, the truth is, I met God about 2 years after we were married, and she probably we still wouldn't be married if I hadn't, because the guy that she married was a twerp. He's a hell-raising, beer-drinking hillbilly with a big temper, and wasn't much of a man, much less much of a husband. But he's a good salesman, because I talked her into marrying me. But thank God she's not still married to the same guy, that his life has been transformed by Christ. And so every year a little better, every year a little less dumb, every year a little whatever. There's nothing perfect, obviously, but we've both grown in our faith and in our relationship steadily over those years, and went through hell losing everything in our early days, and you know, that was a defining moment in relationship and everything else. But yeah, I'm not the same dad I was when I started. I'm not the same husband I was when I started. I'm not the same man I was. I'm not the same leader I was when I started. Thank goodness. You know, good Lord. Who would want to just sit in the same poop all the time and not change anything, right? I mean, you gotta change. You gotta get better. And the thing that has impacted that is just, it is, trying to figure out how to do those things. And the instruction manual I used was the Bible, so because I didn't know anything else. So, but I was pretty much a wild animal.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't see that with you.
Well, it was a long time ago.
But well, so you didn't grow up. Going to church, Christianity, none of that.
It's in my heritage. My great grandfather was a circuit riding preacher and this kind of stuff, but got his old Bible from the 1800s. That's pretty cool keepsake. But but my parents were just, they weren't particularly angry about it or anything. We just didn't go. And the people we ran around with weren't church people necessarily, or Christians of any kind. If you asked them, they would have said they were. But I mean, we weren't, I don't remember. My grandmother, when I was like 9, they were in church. She paid me $10 to memorize the Lord's Prayer. That's the closest I ever came to, and if we went to her house, we went to church. Well, I hated it. Didn't want to go. I mean, little kids getting all dressed up and not being able to squirm and yell and whatever, and miserable. And but that was 10 times in my life, maybe. But no, I didn't know anything. I was just a character.
Where did you grow up?
Just over the tracks over here in Antioch, Tennessee.
Antioch, Tennessee.
Yeah.
What were you into? What was it like growing up?
It was. Nowadays, it's a very international community. But in those days, it was just suburbanites and just redneck kids. I mean, we were just hillbillies, and most of our parents had grown up on the farm and had moved to town to take a job or something. So they bought all these little, some nice little suburban homes, and it was a little suburbia, Leave It to Beaver, and but I mean, this was a neighborhood where it's blue collar, maybe some white collar, but I mean, it was a different world a long time ago. Yeah, but the neighborhood where little boys got in fights and big boys got in fights, and it wasn't like we have anything today. You wouldn't even. I can't think of one of my grandkids being in that situation today at all. But it wasn't horrible, but it was just tough. Just tough neighborhood,
What did your parents do?
A real estate business.
The real estate business.
Owned a residential real estate company there in the Harding Mall area, and so I got my real estate license 3 weeks after I turned 18. That's what I was going to do. I was going to be a big real estate guy.
Were they successful realtors?
Yeah. I mean, they were in it for many, many years. They did finally close it in one of the downturns, and went on to other stuff. But I guess they were in it for probably 10 or 15 years. Most of my, growing up years, that's what they did. And so that was the good news, because they're very entrepreneurial, and taught us. We took us to sales conferences, and so we were, I got to sitting in conference 12 years old listening to Zig Ziglar, and talking about attitude, and I'm like, yeah, okay. But I learned to sell early, and I grew up in a salesman's household. So there's a lot of wonderful qualities come out of that, and also you get grit, out of a situation like that. You learn how to deal with a bully. You learn how to deal with not back down on everything that comes at you. And, so it's a little
Yeah, I think that's good lessons that seems like we're starting to lose these days.
Yeah, I mean, you can learn them without them necessarily being that environment, but yeah, it's something that moms and dads, we have to be really intentional with our kids, to let them fail, let them get a bump, let them develop some grit, some character, some courage. How do you handle a high intensity conflict situation? And Not something like you've done, I don't mean that, but I mean just in, just in business. If you just got somebody that's gonna blow up, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna walk away every time? Sometimes walking away is a good idea, but sometimes metaphorically busting them in the nose is a real good idea too.
Interesting. So with you growing up like that, and then you build like this massive business, how did you teach your kids grit, courage, stick with it, stand up, what you believe in?
Well,
Totally different environment.
Yeah, it is, but we just, again, we in our house we were doing it through the lens of scripture, through the lens of, okay, perseverance matters. Rejoice in your suffering, because suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope. And so perseverance means you're engaged in something that is uncomfortable and there's friction oriented, and so put them in some situations like that. And so not with anger or not anything like that, but it's like, don't helicopter them out of every little thing. Let them flop around in a little bit, and then talk about, okay, what would Christ do? How do we handle this? What's the tough aspect of this? What's the compassionate aspect of this? And what'd you learn? What was God talking to you about while you were sitting there in that thing? And you're dealing with this teacher that's a jerk. You're dealing with a situation, a social situation or whatever, as your teenager, all that kind of stuff. And so, we just walk through all that. As far as working around the business and stuff, anytime we're doing anything, one of the things we grew up with too was hard work ethic. I mean, you just work. When in doubt, just go to work. Shut up. Just go leave the cave, kill something, drag it home. I mean, something needs to move. And so we taught them that. And if you're going to work around Ramsey and you're a 12-year-old working the book table or shipping department or whatever, you got to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard as everybody else. And you got to be 3 times as cheerful as everybody else and kind as everybody else and strong as everybody else, because otherwise you're not going to be respected. They're going to assume you're a wussy little boss's kid that's worthless. And so our kids, it was like they were coaches' kids. We were tough on them around the business. And so, my middle daughter Rachel was working at a book table and one of the events, and one of my guys, one of my leaders, looked over and saw her goofing off looking on her phone, and they're like, you don't do that here. And he corrected her, and she's like, she tells that story, and that's good. That's exactly the environment we wanted to put them in. So, those things are the building blocks of having a high quality life. So you got to put them in there. It's a big deal.
We know y'all love your guns. Now imagine kicking your shooting experience up a notch. With a suppressor from Silencer Shop, your range days get even better, and your hunts become unforgettable. Shooting suppressed is cooler, quieter, and honestly, just a heck of a lot more fun. Yes, silencers are totally legal in most states, and Silencer Shop makes getting one easier than ever. Suppressors mean tighter groups, less kick, and no more ringing ears at the end of the day. Whether you're after that trophy buck, ringing steel targets, or just enjoy the range with friends, adding a suppressor transforms your firearm from pretty good to downright amazing. Silencer Shop's got the biggest and best selection of suppressors, perfect for any firearm and any shooting style. But they do more than just sell silencers. Silencer Shop is out there every day defending your Second Amendment rights and fighting for our freedoms nationwide. Do your guns and your rights a favor. Head over to Silencer Shop and see how much better your guns can be. Silencer Shop is the best way to get a suppressor. Must be 21 or older. Not legal in California, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, and Washington, D.C. This ad is paid for by Silencer Shop.
You all know what speed dating is, right? Well, if you're the owner of a growing business, what if there was a feature like speed dating, but only for hiring? In other words, you could meet several interested, qualified candidates all at once. Well, good news. There is. It's Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You can post your job today and start talking to qualified candidates tomorrow. And right now, you can try Zip Intro for free. It's ziprecruiter.com/SRS. Zip Intro gives you the power to quickly assess excellent candidates for your job via back-to-back video calls. You simply pick a time, and Zip Intro does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people as as soon as the next day. It's so easy. Enjoy the benefits of speed hiring with new Zip Intro, only from ZipRecruiter, rated the #1 hiring site based on G2. Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. When did you grew up with an entrepreneurial spirit? When was your first business?
12.
12 years old.
Yeah, I told Daddy, I said, I want to go down to the quick sack and get an icy. I need some money. He said, you don't need money, you need a job. He said, your lawnmower's in the basement, go knock on the closest 50 doors. And I said, oh, I don't know. He goes, hey, get in the car. And he took me down Nolensville Road over here, little print shop, printed up 500 business cards, said Dave's Lawns. I said, Dad, that's a little overkill. I just wanted an icy. He came home, he said, go knock on the closest 50 doors and ask them if you can have the opportunity to provide their lawn care needs. Don't look at your feet and say, while you're standing on the man's front porch and say, you don't want me to cut your grass, do you? You go in there and you throw your shoulders back and you smile and you give them service and they'll hire you. And dadgum, it didn't work. I had 27 yards to cut at 12 years old.
No kidding.
Which, you know, I think it's called child abuse now, but
Yeah.
but it made me keep a profit and loss statement on my business. My income minus his lawnmowers I tore up equals net profit. But it was you know, and I loved it. Because I always kind of been a little business nerd, I guess, and so I'm cutting Slugger Carnahan's yard for $3, and my buddies are working at Burger King Whopper Floppers, and you know, they're making this is 70s, right? So they're making $1.25 an hour. So I'm figuring I got to cut this grass in faster than 2 hours, or I'm making only what they're making.
No kidding.
And so
I'm thinking like that already.
While I'm mowing, I'm like looking at my watch, going, I gotta get these $1 per hour. I gotta keep this. I gotta make this work, and that's how I price the yards out, so I can make more. I wanted to try to make about double what my buddies were making if they were flopping Whoppers at minimum wage. If I'm gonna sweat like that, I need to make some money.
Wow. So 12 years old, that taught you confidence, that taught you responsibility, business. You're already thinking,
Interacting with adults, you know, and acting like you have your crap together.
how long did that last?
I guess the rest of my life. Oh, the yards?
Yeah, the yards.
Oh man, I cut enough grass by the time I was 18. God said I never had to do it again. I ain't cutting grass in a long, long time. Oh man, yeah. No, when I took off to college, when I got up into high school, I started doing home repairs too. Because they would buy an old house and fix it up, and they'd put me in there and fix it up, or one of their buddies would buy a house in the real estate business and put me in there, 16 years old, to paint it and change the dishwasher out and that kind of stuff. So I did all that. So I paid cash for my first car doing that, and then so I actually paid for the first couple semesters of college, just working my butt off, swinging a hammer, turning a screwdriver.
No kidding. Did your dad instigate that, or?
Oh yeah, he could fix it. The neighborhood we were in, everybody had, you know, tool belt. Everybody could fix anything, and so you didn't throw stuff away in those days. You had it repaired or you fixed it. You know, today, you know, our stuff's throwaway. We don't, you know, send a there's no television repair shops in today, you know. But in the old days, you know, you'd send it over there. They'd put a new tube in it or something, you know, or we would take it apart and look at it and see if we could figure it out. And so, yeah, those guys all turned a wrench on their own cars. So we all learned to turn a wrench on a car, and that, you know, so it's a wonderful heritage to have. It's not necessary to be successful, but it's I'm not uncomfortable. I remember when I was taking my wife out on a date in college. I think it was about our third or fourth date. I think I had $1.16 in my checking account. I was so broke I couldn't pay attention, and I had a 1974 Monte Carlo that I was on the third engine and the second transmission, and I had changed them. I'd run the wheels off that car, and it had 200-some thousand miles on it. It was a piece of crap. And I was explaining to her how someday I'm going to be a millionaire. And we went across the railroad track and the muffler fell off my car. And, but I had a Craftsman toolbox in the trunk with a towel to lay on and a towel to pick the muffler up and a 9/16 wrench to run the U-bolt up. And it had fallen off before, so I knew how to fix it. And just mother fixed it and dust my hands off. We went on the date. She's like, you just fixed the car and got back in right after you tell me you're going to be a millionaire. Yeah, okay. She thought I was full of crap because I was. But
What, just like we were talking about before the interview, I mean, I got 2 little kids, and I really want them to become entrepreneurs. I see I'm experiencing the freedom that you get, and with that being said, it takes a tremendous amount of self-drive, and as you said earlier, perseverance. But I think your kids entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
So what age did you start instilling that into them? What?
Well, I just, sometimes people get, from a job, working for someone else, the illusion, and it is a delusion or an illusion, that somehow that's safe. And if you've ever been on the other side of that table where you're actually the guy making the payroll, you know they're not safe because you gotta run this whole thing right, or oh my God, you can't pay them. But they're under the illusion that this stuff's automatic because they just get their check on Friday and everything's okay. And so the first thing we did was break that illusion with the kids, is that, your success is not dependent on plugging into some safety mechanism somewhere. Your safety mechanism is your ability. Your safety mechanism is your skill set, your safety mechanism. And so even if you're working for someone else, you're self-employed, you just have one client. And you need to go, okay, if I'm an architect and I lost that job, I wasn't leaning on that particular firm for my future, my life, the quality of my life. I was leaning on my skills as an architect. And so if you're going to do that, do it in such a way that you're always marketable, and but you view it as, I'm dependent on me. I'm self-dependent. Mm-hmm. And then what that does automatically leads you into wanting to run your own thing. You don't want to work for somebody else because you want to go, I will take the risk I will accept the fact that there is risk. I'm not delusional about it, and I'm going to just do it anyway. And so, entrepreneurs don't necessarily have to start something from the ground up. My kids haven't. They've come into Ramsey and, are the next generation of leaders and owners of that organization. And all 3 of them are very capable, very different personality styles, very different approach to that. But they're just not under the illusion that someone else is going to do it for them, or that their success is dependent or entitled, or it's none of that. It's sowing and reaping.
What age did that start? And how did you instill that into them? How did you show them?
Well, you want to be age appropriate. I mean, you've got babies, so don't send them to the salt mines. But 3 or 4 years old, we start to go, okay, there's consequences and cause and effect going on. Again, the Bible talks about sowing and reaping. You're going to reap what you sow. And so, as quickly as we could, we started teaching them 3 or 4 things about money, which were life lessons that we'll weave back into this conversation. It's like all kids need to age appropriately, need to learn to work, to give, so that they're not self-centered, they're other-centered, to save, so they're future-oriented, not just present-oriented, which is emotional maturity, which I'm not going to have much of that at 4, and to spend wisely. So work to make money, then save some, give some, and spend some. And then you get opportunities to teach them and let them fail under your wing. And so, early, it's as simple as, okay, you're 4, your job is to pour the dog food into the dog bowl. Mm-hmm. This is your dog. It's our family dog, but the dog eats because you put the food in there. And when you do that, you get $1. Or your job is to clean up the toys in your room, which when you're 4 usually means mom and dad clean up 80% of them, and we make a game out of it, and we sing songs, but you're the best room cleaner in the world. I've never seen anyone clean a room as good as you clean a room. You're amazing, and here's $1. And then we get some of those dollars together, and we go to the store sometime and we get something, and
Good
that's
idea.
a result of you being the best room cleaner in the world. And it all begins with something that primitive and that simple. So it's positive reinforcement, but they emotionally are starting to tie work equals money. Work equals the money. Because I meet 50-year-olds that don't know work equals money. Yeah, they haven't figured that out. Nobody ever taught them, and they're still waiting around for somebody else to fix their freaking life. And so I didn't want that. And you know, and by the time they're 10 or 12, it starts to get pretty sophisticated. And then we said, okay, we're going to do the money aspect. We got, you know, your car when you turn 16 is your responsibility, but we're going to help. We're going to 401 Dave. We're going to match. So whatever you save, I'll match it. If you save nothing, get ready for a real nice bicycle. So your little butt's going to be walking because you're going to pay for your car, but I'm going to whatever you save. Now I will tell you, you know, you're starting young. Make sure you put a limit on that because the third one figured it out. Yeah, he had 15 grand, and now I'm looking at buying a $30,000 car for a 16-year-old. Not a chance.
Damn.
So we talked that down and we worked that out, and he ended up giving some of that to a ministry, and there was an earthquake in Peru about that time, and he'd been down there on a missions trip, and some of the kids down there didn't have anything, so he gave some of that money to that, and we matched it, the whole thing anyway, but some of it was generous, and then he bought a real cool Jeep. But it still wasn't $30,000 freaking dollars. But I had to keep my word because I had set this thing up. So I'm warning the rest of you, make sure you put a limit on it. But we did that on all three of them, and I'll tell you to this day that they had great pride the way they drove the car, the way they took care of the car. Their friends didn't leave crap in the car. You know, you take care of my car. I worked for this, and they did. They worked. They babysat. They cut grass. They worked at the company. They sold books. They did, you know, whatever they at the company, you know, they working for us, whatever they had to do. But yeah, we just so it built character and confidence and dignity and responsibility and all.